A high school student's final grade is about to be debated in federal court. The student received partial credit on an assignment after the teacher caught him using AI for the assignment. The parents in Massachusetts sued the school, saying they violated their son's civil rights. They're demanding the school change the grade, while the school is asking for the lawsuit to be dismissed. So that's why we bring in 9 News legal analyst Whitney Traylor to talk about, is this even a case? Do they have a case in a case like this?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they have a case because they've obviously filed it. So how strong it is, I don't know. There's just so many different issues because the schools have a lot of flexibility in terms of what discipline they can have and that kind of thing. I think one of the biggest issues here, I think there were 2 issues that the parents were concerned about. One, they didn't have a policy on AI. Now, the school is saying they did have a policy, so there'll be a factual question as to when that policy came into effect. The second thing that they're arguing is that it was a due process issue, and they're saying that their son wasn't afforded due process because under the Constitution, your education is actually a property right. And before the state can take that property right, you're entitled to certain processes, hearings, appeals, things like that. And here they're saying he didn't get his due process. So I think it's an uphill battle.
Is AI at issue actually in the case? Is it about AI? Is it about things like ChatGPT and those sorts of things?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that was the underlying issue. That's what brought him here, was that apparently him and his partner did some research using AI, and then the AI created the outline that he used, and that was, I think, kind of the extent of it. So that's really the issue is, one, is it cheating if they didn't have a policy? Now, even if you don't have a policy, I think it's a reasonable inference or deduction to say using AI would probably violate a cheating policy, right? Even though it doesn't specifically use the words AI. So that's going to be an issue. But secondarily, it's really important because we're now going to start to shape our laws around AI, because this is going to be a major issue going forward.
Is it comparable? I mean, I'm old enough. I went to school before we had calculators. You know, like the abacus, the slide rule. Though they were all in play way back when. Yeah. But the calculator now, every kid, you know, has 3 calculators on them in their watch and on their phone or wherever else. So that became normal. Yeah, it became part of the deal. Now is AI, because the calculator was no good early.
Right, and I think AI is probably even more all-encompassing than the calculator was, even though the calculator took out a lot of work. I think this is why states and a lot of education associations are trying to come up with a policy. They're saying, look, AI is here, we're gonna have to move forward, so let's come up with a policy. And I think about half the states currently have a policy, either from their education association or somewhere else, how they're going to try and use AI going forward. Because I think they've acknowledged we can't stop this, so we're going to have to work with it.
Well, I mean, you know, initially you're thinking, oh my gosh, these parents accept some punishment once in a while, but they're saying this is also because he can't get applications into the colleges he wants and things like that. AI really does. So does this set a precedent though? Because boy, and then you're like, well.
Then you could sue for anything, right?
Right.
And so, and here, I mean, the punishment is pretty, could have long-term effects because he would have to disclose it on his college applications. He got kicked out of National Honor Society, and I guess his grade is a D instead of a B. And so, so yeah, that's, you know, that's an issue, is the potential punishment. But here, I don't think you necessarily create precedent because this is at a trial court level. But this will likely get appealed, and once you start having appeals to the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court, that's where we make binding laws. So I think we're going to see a lot of cases like this. This one feels maybe there's a little privilege there that, hey, my son didn't get the grade. Yeah, he used AI. There wasn't a specific policy about it. So, but there'll be other cases probably with more merit than this.
I worked so hard in school that
here we go.
that I would have used AI, but only for having it write my valedictory speech. Had I not finished in the 64th percentile.
I heard the 3 of you were valedictorians yesterday. I heard about
that. Oh, yeah, you had to turn down Yale, Princeton, Harvard. It was tough.
Well, that's how it goes, you know.
Sometimes. It's not easy being
I had more A than I.
Yeah.
Thanks, Whitney.
All right.